So one of the other key things that I like to talk about in the realm of coaching is resilience. So I call myself a leadership and resilience coach. One of the reasons I use this terminology of both leadership and resilience is because I've always been super keen on leadership, but not always super keen on the models of leadership that I've seen around me. So what seems to be heavily pervasive in our society is a top-down hierarchical approach. No, nothing against that approach, but what has always turned me off is the fact that that approach seems to be applied across the board. We don't see much diversity in how we organize structures or systems in our organizational life, but even in our family lives too. It often tends to be a monoculture of an approach. So one main way of doing things. So for a long time, I've been attracted to another way of doing leadership, one that is not about power over, one that's not really even, the definition that I first heard about leadership was leadership is influence. And even that bothered me, this idea that my job as a leader is to influence other people rather than to enliven other people or to spark growth or curiosity or wonder or their own internal work. I mean, that is really what I was leaning more towards as leadership. Also acknowledging that me influencing another person means that I'm bringing my own lens and placing that on them. They might actually have wisdom that I need to hear. So was really interested in equity in leadership. And that's part of the reason that I use both leadership and resilience. It's not clear at first, but my definition of resilience really encompasses this idea that we need to have lots of diversity in how we organize. So that's both in the systems that we design, the ways that we grow, the ways that we organize our families. I think that we tend to really limit ourselves, which is why we've seen the prevalence of one way of doing things in so many different settings. And that's led to oppression, that's led to lots of problematic things on an individual level. But if you look at a societal level, the lack of diversity is actually bad for all of us. That's truly my belief. So resilient leadership is about having as much diversity as possible, doing things differently, having different people in different types of positions. And really, I think sharing leadership is a huge part of adding anti-fragility to our organizational life. And another reason that I use the word resilience is because I think it's really critical in our time to develop systems resilience, kind of what I was just talking about, but then at an individual level, applying resilience theories to how we work together and how I work with folks as a coach, both at an individual level and a team level. And my resilience model is, I'm calling it my model, but it's absolutely things that I've learned along the way from other people. And it just was a way that helped me to understand resilience a little bit better, helped to clarify things for me. So one of the pieces of my resilience model is it's taken from research around stress and research around what's called the window of tolerance. I kind of pulled a few different things together, really to have a picture of what things are like when you're doing well, when you're in your ideal stress window, and what it looks like, and what the neuroscience tells us that it looks like when people are outside of their stress window. And there's what's great is that there's lots of research about how to get back into an ideal stress window. Either if it's too much or too little, there are really great strategies to get back into that window. And there are also ways to widen that, to expand your tolerance, to expand your resilience. So one part of resilience is bouncing back, but another part of resilience is building your capacity to be able to handle more. Not that you should handle more, but that you have the capacity to. So that's one of the parts of the model. Another part is just essentially having four really clear categories for resilience, because there's lots out there about ways to manage stress, ways to get back into your window of tolerance, ways to enhance resilience, ways that research says really support people who have experienced severe conditions to bounce back. So looking at all of that and pulling it together, there's this long list, and how wonderful that we have so many tools at our disposal to be able to expand our resilience. So it's beautiful. It was beautiful to me, but it was also a little bit overwhelming. So what I did was I started to categorize things, put things into categories that really made sense for me, and came up with 4 categories. One is sense making, another is movement, another category is connection, and the final category of the 4 that I created was awareness. So within each of these categories, there's more meat to it, and I'd love to talk more and more about it, but I'm trying to keep myself concise here. The resilience model for me really pointed to, these are the strategies that I love. In this category, sense making, yeah, let's go there. Let's make sense of this. Let's explore creativity. Let's explore other people's creativity and art, and thinking about the meaning and the purpose beyond things. If I've experienced a difficult situation, thinking about how I can make that into something. Hey, it's a beautiful place for me to go. I go there naturally. It's a great resilience strategy for me, that category. But also became clear to me was that there were categories that I didn't move towards as much. So not that I was avoiding them. I don't like that language. It's just that I wasn't moving towards that naturally. And I started to realize that if I moved, there's an invitation there. There's so much rich stuff within that category of movement, for example, which could be like physically moving your body, stretching, strength training. These are strategies that actually science tells us this will widen your window of tolerance. These are things that will enhance your resilience. And as I realized I don't move towards that as much, it was an invitation to me to utilize that more. And that has been really helpful. This is a pretty new thing for me to be exposed to more and more of this. And I essentially just want to do more. So if you know the categories a little bit more, and if you dive into it, what's really interesting is that it can point you in a direction of resilient strategies that might enhance your life even more. So I'd love to talk more about this. Send me an email, book a coffee time with me, because I love to talk about this stuff. There are also lots of great resources on my website. As I'm diving into this more and more, I just want to make it available to people. So one of the things that I've done and will continue to do for the next little bit for the summer is to build resilience menus that are based on these 4 categories and the evidence around resilience strategies. So it's a fun way to just choose from a menu what you like. What you don't like, you don't have to order, but you can choose the things that you want to do. So I already have 2 up on my website, more to come. Check those out, sign up for my newsletter, and keep in touch.